and welcome everybody to the Stronger Than My Excuses show. This is one episode as a part of a series in Imagine Challenging the Status Quo. It's a great theme and to get you thinking about how you can be different in your business and in your attitudes towards business. Our topic for today and this discussion is Imagine Mentally Healthy Workplaces. It's called Happiness. And firstly, I'm Adam Rice. I'm Director of AJR Counselling, Coaching and Consulting. And I'll be your host for the panel discussion today. And we're coming to you from the Central Coast, New South Wales. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge that we're meeting on the land of our First Nations people, the Darkinjung people. And we appreciate this and respect this and their elders past, present and emerging. I have the pleasure of having this discussion today with my fellow panellists, so allow me to introduce you to our special guests. We have Michael Brolly, a careers facilitator, industry training hubs from Business New South Wales. We have Leanne Mendel, a life coach, master NLP practitioner and hypnotherapist at Divine Daily Coaching. And Melissa Cam, co-founder and director of Kee Web Designs. And Sue Liptrott from the Iris Foundation, which is an organisation that works with early intervention with suicide prevention. So welcome, everybody. So when we're looking at mental health in the workplace, or happiness, how much of this is the responsibility of the organisation, the team, and on individual levels in creating a mentally healthy workplace? And I might start with you, Michael.
Yeah, look, I think it's definitely the responsibility of everybody in an organisation. As we hear, it always starts from the top. So we obviously do need our leaders to obviously take charge when it comes to putting those mental health policies into place, ensuring that staff receive relevant training in that space. Organisations like the Iris Foundation doing those sorts of training, which is great. But also when it comes down to the individuals within those organisations, ensuring that they, reach out to their team members, make sure that they're okay, always saying to them, I know it gets thrown around a lot, but are you okay? Are things okay in your life, not just at work, but in their personal life as well? And just really having that genuine care factor.
Good. Melissa, I'd like your perspective on how you can prepare your people for a more mentally healthy business.
So, in preparation for mental health issues, I feel that there's a couple of things that we follow as an organisation, which is firstly, lead by example. I myself put my mental health status as first priority. I engage in activities where I inform myself about my mindset and any mental issues that I might have. I get in touch with that if I feel that I need to. And also to encourage work-life balance. Now that's something that is a challenge for most organizations and businesses. And I do understand that different businesses have different cultures. But if every organization can just give that little bit of time to understanding that this topic actually deserves more time than it currently is on anybody's agenda, we'll go a lot further as a community as a whole. And also things like getting trust from employees and we're trusting our employees can be quite challenging. But to overcome that, it all comes with open communication and to realize that mental health issues are everywhere. Everybody experiences it. It's not something unusual or something that we need to hide. And if people realize that, they're more willing to come to you or willing to go to somebody that they trust to try and get some help and support, which we feel is very important because when you're in that mindset, it's a reality that you're living. And that reality is the perception that you get through your 5 senses. And people that live in that reality, they can't see through that, I call it my fishbowl. They can't see outside that fishbowl. They just keep constantly swimming inside of their fishbowl and getting stuck in there. And that's a very dangerous space to be.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Leanne, what's your take on this?
I actually love this topic, so very grateful to be here to express a little bit more. I think every day in every way we have to take full responsibility for our own mental health, for our own happiness, for our own well-being. Every day we have a choice when we wake up. Are we going to be the victim of our circumstances, or are we going to be the victor of that day, the victor of our life? And, it's proven now scientifically that our thoughts create our reality. So every single thought we have, what we think about, we bring about. So even today came from a thought. And what we can create through our thoughts is so powerful. And it's so important every day, I believe. It starts with the person who is the individual first before they go into the workplace. And happiness is an inside job. So that person doesn't need to get to a destination of happiness. It's like they can access that happiness straight away, right now. We can all do that. And it's just being mindful of that negative self-talk. What are we saying to ourselves every day? What are those limiting beliefs that are keeping us stuck, that are going around in our head? So, the National Science Foundation says that we access about 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts every single day. And 80% of those thoughts are negative. 95% of them is a thought that we had yesterday. So what are we doing every day? Unconsciously, we're actually in our head accessing all these negative thoughts, not even being aware of them, that are not serving us, that are keeping us stuck, that are holding us back, that are not allowing us to step into a more fulfilling life. And that starts with the individual, and then that translates into all areas of their life, even into the workplace. So really sitting with that, sitting to what Melissa said, and taking a look at yourself and going, I am responsible for my own life. I am the leader of my own life. I get to choose where I want to play today. And being truthful to yourself, like what feelings are you accessing every day? Are you feeling anger? Are you feeling sadness or hurt or grief? And in the workplace, what triggers are you experiencing? Are you having conflict with another work colleague or your boss? Are you crumbling when you have to speak up or speak your truth, or are you lacking in self-confidence? That's an opportunity for you to go, I'm feeling that way. So that's where I need the healing, and that's where I need the work, and that's where the magic happens. So just to answer your question, I think it all starts with us. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's kind of the secret to healthy well-being mindset and being happier in your workplace too.
Good. Sue, what's your take on that?
So you've asked Adam who's responsible, and it's very clear there's responsibility all across the board. It starts at an individual level, but it's also at a top level. All your policies and procedures must be in place. As an employer, you have a responsibility to your staff, most definitely. You need to set that culture within your organisation. But in setting that culture within the organisation, you bring in these people that are aware of where they are at and what they're bringing to the organisation as well. So it's a very individual level also. I don't know how to actually answer that, because you've set the culture. Melissa, you're all about the individual person bringing what they bring to the workplace. And Michael, you're talking about as a business, we need those structures and policies. It's all across the board. Yeah. In other words, it's something that we all need to be mindful of. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I guess this might have been a good question to maybe start with, but I think you've kind of brought up a really good point, because what is mental health in the workplace? Because a lot of people have different ideas about what mental health is. So maybe, Leanne, would you kind of like to answer that briefly?
Yeah, it's holistic. And that's actually an approach that many us light workers or healers or coaches play in, because we all know, there's this saying, and I will share it, totally unscripted, that, you can eat as much kale as you want to and be healthy in your exercise, eat kale, eat healthy. But if you don't have your mindset, you've got nothing. And so it is a holistic approach. It's your mind, your body and your soul all being aligned. And when that's in alignment and that's in harmony, it's the most beautiful, opening, freeing experience, because that's what we're on here. We're on a journey, we're on an experience. So when those things are not in alignment, that's when we feel stuck, depressed, anxious, fearful, not good enough. And it's about creating that holistic approach. Yeah, that's my take on it.
What about from you, Michael? What's
Yeah.
mental health to you?
Mental health in the workplace, I think going a bit deeper than what I just said before about it being everyone's responsibility, I think we need to start with, well, first of all, obviously an individual's personal life, as we said before, that's important. So we need to ensure that everything's okay in that person's world, because they may or may not tell us what's going on in their personal life. That's the first thing. Secondly, when it comes to the individual within the workplace, are they happy with what they're doing, the role that they're doing? Is the workload too much? Is it too difficult? Are they drowning? Are they struggling? I think someone said before, are we happy with our work colleagues, our immediate supervisors and managers and so forth? So it's a pretty complex, structure there when it comes to mental health in the workplace. But I think if our leaders and also the individuals are aware of what makes up mental health in the workplace, we're conscious of that, and we try our best individually and collectively to ensure that everyone does have that strong mental health in the workplace, then I think we're a fair chance of having good culture within those organisations.
Yeah, good. What about from you, Mel?
So, mental health in the workplace. In this day and age, we are living in a very competitive world, and it's ever-changing. Look at 3 years ago, the pandemic hit us, and even those mental issues are coming and has a ripple effect. Everything that everyone does has a ripple effect, and that then causes quite a big effect throughout the organisation, through the world. And so if we don't deal with people who have mental health issues or are facing those kind of challenges, that ripple effect will just spread throughout the organisation, throughout the community and the world as well. So to answer the question, what is mental health, right? Mental health, I feel, is where you can look at yourself in the mirror every day and you can actually engage with your inner being and say, am I okay today? How am I feeling today? And I think those two questions are so important. Often people are so busy to get to work, so busy to do all these things, they forget to get in touch with their inner self and their subconscious in a way. Because the subconscious, funnily enough, we actually operate a lot on our subconscious, and a lot of reactions that we have or behaviors or even the thoughts we have come from the subconscious. And that subconscious learns through our 5 senses, and then it builds up this library of how to react. And so when you get into a mental state issue where you're facing challenges, you just can't get around it, that subconscious keeps bringing up these fears, these memories, these experiences. But if you don't reach out and get help and support, and if you feel like you've got no one to talk to, that's when that issue grows even more. Yeah.
Sue, what's your take on what is mental health in the workplace?
For me, when I hear that word mental health in the workplace, the word that comes to mind is safe. It's just a feeling of ease and safe. But mental health is a very fluid thing. It's just like some days physically you feel well, and other days you're like, wow, that ached when I got out of bed. But mental health's a little bit the same. So it has that fluidity, and I think mental health is to be able to respond to those ebbs and flows of mental health and how you respond effectively to that and bring back to the status quo.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I think, well, as you said, Leanne, the mind and the body are connected, therefore they affect each other, which is a presupposition we use in NLP. But usually if you're not well in your mind, usually you're physically not well. And if you're physically not well, often you're not mentally well as well. But thanks for the answers. That was really good. So we've talked about what is mental health and who should be responsible. But how do we effectively guide someone to appropriate support? And what are the support pathways, and how do we find practical support? So I guess in simple terms, what actions can people take right now? Michael?
Okay. Yeah, look, I suppose we all know about the typical services that are available through, our local health services, Headspace, Oris Foundation, those sorts of organisations, and we can obviously refer people, to those types of support places. But I think it goes a lot deeper than that. It shouldn't just be, here's the phone number of Lifeline or Headspace or whatever it happens to be, and off you go. I think and we go back to the responsibility of the workplace, be it the leaders, managers, fellow colleagues, etc. I think we really need to have a person or persons that really acts as a support person for the individual, who needs to go and receive that type of help and support, and ensure that A, they actually get it, and B, that there's actually a genuine follow-up from someone within that organisation to let them know there is somebody here that actually cares about what is happening to you, as opposed to just ticking a box, giving them a phone number and seeing them on their way. I think from a mental health point of view, as far as I'm concerned, I think that's a lot more powerful for the individual, and ultimately will actually help them through that particular episode that they're going through, as opposed to just referring them. So, yeah, that's sort of kind of where I see it.
Yeah, I know we're running a bit over time, or a bit out of time, but if I can get your answer off you, Sue, where would you send people for support, or how would you provide that?
I like the idea of there's a responsible person, but sometimes the HR person is you, as the manager of the business. Yeah. First port of call, Black Dog Institute have some amazing training out there for mentally healthy workplaces, and particularly for management as well. Free, most of it as well, and I would encourage anyone that's in that position with staff to skill yourself up with some of that as well. There's other opportunities out there available in skilling yourself up, such as resilience first aid, mental health first aid. There's some ways to understand conversations and how to approach people that might be experiencing a mental health issue within the workplace. And then, as you say, know where all of those reference points are that you can use, and we have a myriad of them, which is generally can be found, beyond Blue, Black Dog, our local health district, Lifeline. But skill yourself up would be my thing. Skill yourself up so you're not floundering when confronted with that situation.
Yeah, I like that. Skill yourself up. Leanne, what's your take on that?
So part of that question was asking what practical tools you could do, and there are a lot of free things that you can do. And the one thing that comes top of mind is self-love. Like, that is really the secret to well-being, mental health. I mean, just loving yourself more today than you did yesterday. Just looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, I love you. I really, really love you. And that's the first thing. Just being grateful. Grateful for the past, grateful for the present. The present is the gift. Even looking at things that, if you can, visualise what you do desire in your life, what you do want your life to look like, even if it isn't that way right now. Actually being grateful for that as if it's already happened can be very powerful in actually moving you into more of a high vibrating state and helping with your overall well-being. Appreciating the little things in life, things that you take for granted. And I think particularly also in the workplace is finding your voice, being confident enough to speak up and do that through connection, because connection, I believe, is the currency to happiness. We're not meant to be doing this journey alone. So finding your tribe and finding those people that support you and love you and are your biggest raving fans in life, in work, in business.
Great. And Mel?
Yeah, so I agree with what everybody has said on the panellists. There are a lot of programs out there that are meant to help you. But just from my point of view, my first thing would be self-assessment. And how do you do that? By being aware of what the symptoms are, and then kind of assessing yourself against that, and just checking regularly, am I okay? Secondly, is to look after yourself, which is what Leanne said. Love yourself, look after yourself, because often we get so hung up on what we need to do, we forget about our health, we forget about our sleep, and also to engage in activities that will help you relax and manage your stress, anxieties, and like anything that you might feel really gets to you, to help it release that. That's so important. And finally, to connect with people that you trust, whether it's your families, colleagues, mentors, and groups that actually face the similar kind of challenges. Because through that connection, you come to realize that, number one, this is normal for everybody to go through. Number two, there's always someone out there that listens to you. And number three, that you can find support.
Yeah. And I think one of the most important things for leaders to allow their workers to know that it's okay to speak up.
Yes.
Because sometimes people will stay silent.
That's it.
So I think really good answers. So I guess lastly, I'd like to ask you all for one word to wrap up the actions we just spoke about today, and one word that is an action that viewers can take away from this show. So what would be your one word, Michael?
Care.
Care?
Awareness.
Awareness.
Connect.
Skill up.
Skill up. Well, that's 2 words. But that's okay. That's okay.
I get one.
Yes.
So look, thank you all for your insights and contributions. What incredible information for our viewers. Also, thanks again to our sponsors today. And remember, you can watch us through YouTube and other social media. You can ask a question as the panel will be available to respond to you. Share with anyone you think this show might support. It's a really important topic. I hope you'll watch again next time as we tackle other issues and come up with more actions for our viewers. So thanks to our guest again, Michael Brolly from Business New South Wales. Leanne Mendel, the life coach, master NLP practitioner and hypnotherapist at Divine Daily Coaching. Melissa Cam, our co-founder and director of Kee Web Designs. And finally, Sue Liptrott from the Iris Foundation. Thanks for watching.